Hello, and welcome back to Star Wars Minute. It's a daily podcast where we analyze, scrutinize, and boulder these ties. The Star Wars movies, 1 minute at a time. I'm Pete the Retailer from PeteTheRetailer.com.
This is Alex Robinson from AlexRobinson.fun.
And I'm Chris Radtke from Change.org.
You
know why I'm from Change.org?
Why is that?
Why?
Because I'd like to start a petition to make sure that J.J. Abrams never works again.
All right, under a minute that time. So congratulations, everybody.
Hyperspace skipping. This is the minute where Star Wars breaks. Star Wars was perfect up until this minute, and this is the minute it breaks. Everything before this made perfect sense.
Right.
We'll get us when the minute ends. It starts, you're hyperspace skipping through the episode. That means, of course, we're talking about minute 10. Everybody knows minute 10, that's where the hyperspace skipping starts.
Minute 10.
Minute 10 of Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. It starts with Poe telling Finn they can boulder those ties, as I just said. Really stealing Chewbacca's idea. Chewbacca says, hey, what about this? Poe's like, oh yeah, great idea. Hey, Finn, what if we do this? Finn's like, yeah, I like the way you think, buddy. And he's like, that's right. And then, like,
Finn says he also thought of that. So Chewbacca's contribution is really diminished.
Yeah. Really, it's all Chewbacca. But anyway, it ends with Poe telling everyone to hold on for what may be their last jump. For their last jump, maybe forever. So this could be the end of the movie. We don't know. We'll check next week. You might be our last guest here, Chris. So
you could only be so lucky.
That would have been a gutsy move.
To build everything up to episode 9 and then end it in 10 minutes. And everybody knew that the Emperor was coming back. He came back. He came back in minute 4 or whatever. So, then here you go. Boom.
Well,
there you go. Boom.
I guess you can bring him back and the rest to bring him back.
The best thing about this episode is your boy in the beginning. He gets all googly-eyed. And he gets all, get me out of here. And then it's just downhill from there.
Yeah, I do. Once again, watch this minute. So watch it. Everybody, I encourage you, watch this minute, back it up, watch it again, just looking at Claude, because it is great.
I like also that, I love the Millennium Falcon and I love getting to see new angles and stuff like that. I like that we get to see a close up on those legendary cannons. And also that we get to see a shot from inside. You see, it almost is like a video game where you see the cannon. You're like seeing it from the cannon's point of view.
You are the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah, that was a really nice shot.
Millennium Falcon
Leak.
FPS.
What's her name?
Yeah. L7?
L7.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Play as L7, the Millennium Falcon.
See, I have no problem. I have no problem with they do a great job they do the stuff that you want out of an action movie like cool shots and things like that. But I'm just saying there's obviously a lot of stuff so anyway, I'm just trying to not complain all the time about everything.
No, but we live in a day and age, and we've long passed this day and age when good graphics is enough for a movie to get by on.
It's true.
And
yeah.
It's why, the prequels, it's why some people had problems with the prequels. I am not one of them. But historically. And
you've been consistent in your approach to the prequels.
And, you can't just make a pretty movie anymore. Same with the video games. Can't just make a pretty video game anymore. It's got to have substance.
Yeah.
Well, I will add on to Alex's praise of the Millennium Falcon details. And I will say that you've also got the classic kind of Millennium Falcon targeting computer, and you see it kind of recognize the scaffolding and targeting the scaffolding.
I thought that was weird.
Because you saw it kind of adding
that's
in
L7. That's an AI. That's L7 adjusting and listening to the conversation and being aware of what's going on. That's how the Millennium Falcon works.
So you think it's picking up that there's a bridge there and it's singling that thing out because it doesn't show the walls or any other features.
No, what it's doing is it's processing it's basically the Millennium Falcon. The way that the robot brains work is one of them is listening all the time. The other one is processing and the other one's L7, right? So they're listening to what's happening in there. Why do you think in the other Star Wars movie, the Millennium Falcon is a thing? They're inside. It
has the Force.
Has the Force, and it's you know.
So you're saying that not only did Poe steal Chewie's idea, and Finn say he had the same idea, but L7 is also saying, hey, look, we can drop the thing down on those TIE fighters.
L7's like, I don't know if you understand Wook, but it's and they were like, oh, you mean that? And ding, 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 and there it is, targeting.
I would say maybe it was her idea to begin with, and she beeped in a way. She told Chewie, because Chewie can understand. He is more familiar with the Falcon, so the information went from L337 to Chewbacca. Chewbacca says it to Poe. Poe says, hey, I got this great idea.
I think
then Finn was just like, God, I was thinking that exact same thing.
That makes perfect sense for this lazy inconsistency the director chose for this film.
All right. Good.
I appreciate the fact that it looks like the classic Millennium Falcon radar. You know, it has that same, like, so in 50 years, that was 50 years ago that the dogfight was, and it has not updated their software in 50 years. Come on, L7, you got to.
I mean, why fix what ain't broke?
Yeah,
you're going to be subject to viruses and security risks if you don't keep up to date.
Yeah, but they're not plugged into anything.
You don't think they have Bluetooth or yet any kind of receives radio signals and things like that?
No, it's all from different places. Nothing works in space. They're all like, oh, I got to this planet. Oh, I got this kind of plug. This plug doesn't work on this planet. So everybody's got their own thing. Millennium Falcon, it's got 3 brains.
Got to go to Space Walgreens and get an adapter. And
like a twin pod cloud car. Like, what does that plug into? I don't know.
Seriously.
Right?
2 prongs.
2 prongs.
Do you think you have to plug in each pod cloud car separately, or do you think it's one jack that
a twin pod cloud car is like, you both need to be on the same page at all times, or that thing does not work.
You get the guys like, it's like the Odd Couple kind of thing where one guy's always yelling that his partner never charged his pod, and he's like, come on, like, you knew that we had to do this. He's like, what? I was going to do it in the morning.
It's like Siamese twins. You're stuck with this guy.
No, a twin pod cloud car is the horse costume of small space vehicles.
Right.
The pantomime horse of
space.
Of space.
Not space, of atmospheric.
Yes, atmospheric
speeders.
The pantomime horse of Beldon farts. I'm glad we settled that. We unearthed that nugget. Although, hey, speaking of Cloud City, here's another. I said we could watch it do this. I could watch this kind of stuff all the time, and it is. It's neat to see the Millennium Falcon. It's neat to see it in Cloud City. It's neat to see it here. Just the Millennium Falcon kind of flying after it bursts through the...
is that Cloud City, or is it an uninspired riff on Cloud City?
No, not yet. No, we'll get there. I'm talking about before that, when we're bursting through the ice at the end of the cave here.
Right.
And we get to see it kind of streak off with a little trail of stuff, and just watching the Millennium Falcon fly away is great.
Oh, yeah, it's always great.
Although I will take issue with the fact that it's breaking through that ice wall. It seems... That to me is the first step in a sequence of increasingly unreal, like, okay, they're just kind of making this up as they go. Like the fact that the Falcon could smash through that ice wall seems nuts to me.
I don't know why. It's not that they check to see how thick it is first.
Well, first of all, he just says, how thick do you think it is? They don't run a scan and say, oh, it's only 3 inches thick. After, hey, you know what? That was only 3 inches thick. That was a lucky break. It seems cartoonishly, like silly to me. But again, it's consistent with the movie, and it does look super cool. So it's good at producing super cool looking things that when you examine them, you're like, wait, what? Anyway, so yes,
I do.
Falcon flies off.
Watching these couple of minutes made me think, and I think I feel like I might have said this for other movies. I might have said this. I don't know when the last time. Thinking about other movies, maybe one of the prequels, but I would like to take this and just, how would it play if you edited out all the dialogue and just showed the sequence, just all the rest of the sequences, just cut around the dialogue. Don't try to adjust for anything storytelling wise. Just show bump, 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 just all the parts.
It would not make sense. It would be a flash of special effects that you'd be like, ah. and then it would go and fly away.
Right.
And then it flies away, and then you're like, and then you're like, what is this?
But it sounds like you're talking about the that's how you're reacting to the movie as is. But what if I don't know. I want to see this one just like all the dialogue scenes removed, just cut. How much would you have left, and what would it play like?
You'd still
what
have
are you thinking?
Like
it would
go, through the space jumps.
Right.
Are you sort of speculating that it might have a more poetic feel to it, where it's just kind of like images as opposed to? Yeah, I'm just.
I might have actually said it last season about Solo. It'd be interesting to see Solo like that too.
Do you do that a lot with the movies you watch?
No, I've never done it, but I'd like to see it. So I guess I have to do it then? I don't know.
What would be some non-Star Wars movies you'd like to cut all the dialogue from and just watch?
Oh boy.
2001?
Well, no. I mean, 2001, I like part of
No, it's got to be something like, something like The Hateful Eight. Where it's,
are you looking for something that has bad dialogue, or just something that you think would be that the visuals are so impressive that it's better without the dialogue?
I don't know. I just want to see something. I just want to see how it would play. So if sequences, if it's got enough sequences to work, that would be an interesting thing to watch without the dialogue, not just muted, but just with the dialogue cut out.
It sounds
like all the scenes.
It sounds like you yearn for a better version of what you're watching.
No. I'm saying it would just be interesting.
Sounds like
to
you're
see.
Denial.
It would be interesting to see that. I'm not saying it would be better at all, because there's dialogue in here that I do like, but we don't.
It'd be interesting.
It would be interesting to see.
Yeah, it would be interesting if I got shot in the neck right now.
Yeah,
but it would also suck.
Right.
It would be good for our ratings, though, because that would be a real.
They would be off the charts. Your overnights would be crazy.
Oh,
plus then we could have a murder mystery to see who killed Radtke,
who
shot Radtke.
Which Star Wars guest, which other Star Wars mainstay, or is it a one and done? Is the one that is who killed Chris Radtke?
Oh, and then all through the season we'd give clues, and then in the last episode we'd reveal who killed Chris Radtke.
There you go.
Oh man!
Now
I wish we thought of this earlier.
I know. I wish we thought about killing you earlier.
My initial list of suspects has to start with the other, full timers, the other guys who would be jealous that you've got the lounge this season. You've got the final spin in the lounge.
It's true. Flanagan and Dater, I think, are the two prime suspects.
Yeah, and Thaxton, the band leader.
Thaxton and Asterios.
Adam has the keys, but he's got
Adam would never do that.
He picked it's true.
And
he's eliminated.
Yeah, Adam is Adam is staff.
Yeah.
He's part of this group. Like he's not.
It's like Poirot's friend who's like, well, you're not going to suspect him, even though he was in the place where all the things were found, but it's because he's another detective from, somewhere else.
He is Adam is the one that's afforded that luxury.
Right. And it's only a technicality that he wasn't on every season so far, because he picked minutes from the Phantom Menace that were not actually in the movie.
Did he pick Wald? Like Wald's?
No, he picked the thing with Rats Tyrell's family. And we were like, once I get to that's totally you. And then I forgot about it, and we went through, and then it turns out it was only it was a deleted scene, and he was.
Really
and we never got to make that up with him. So
that's amazing.
Not for lack of trying on his part.
But anyway, it would be Tony
Thaxton, Tony Consiglio, both, and Joe Dater and Josh Flanagan.
And the wives.
Well, they've not been on every season. They do have the keys to the lounge, but see, that's a sneaky.
Well, speaking of crazy things, let's talk about some lightspeed skipping, shall we?
Yeah.
I'd rather talk about my murder.
Our first stop. We go, boom, we blow out of the ice cave. We go hyperspace, jump to hyperspace, and our first stop.
Followed by TIE fighters, which is another
Do you know how this whole thing started? They poorly put together and storyboarded the tunnel scene. And then they're like, we haven't figured out how they're going to escape the tunnel. Are they just going to fly out the end of the tunnel? That's not interesting. So JJ's like, how about an ice wall? And they can fly through an ice wall. And CGI guys are like, yeah, okay, an ice wall is easy to make in CGI. So they make the ice wall, and they dub in the language. And he's like, oh, but how am I gonna? Everyone's gonna complain about the ice wall. So to distract you from the implausibility of crashing into a wall and flying through it, he's like, what if it was like a hop, skip, and a jump through light speed? And that's what we get here with this nonsense. He's trying to deflect from the previous nonsense with more nonsense, more egregious nonsense.
Well, I do think. I mean, I think mainly it's how do I explain around? Like, they can't just jump to hyperspace because last movie we found out they can track through hyperspace now.
Yeah.
So we can't just jump to hyperspace. We have to figure out there's got to be something else.
Maybe they need
that's
to
not just an escape.
Defeat them in a clever dogfight in space that everyone likes. I don't know. Or
once again, let's refer to Exhibit A, my favorite part of my favorite movie ever.
Right. So that's what happens. We get
so our first stop. Where was our first stop?
Our first stop is I'm trying not to say this in my Our first stop is the crystal chaos of Cardivite. The crystal chaos of Cardivite.
The
crystal chaos.
This scene was done so much better in Multiverse of Madness.
I think, is that the first time anybody said that? But the play. This is the first time that we see the place with the stalagmites, where they're flying through, and it's kind of like that
hellscape. Let's throw them in hell first.
Reddish, yeah. It's like kind of a red kind of cave, but just part of a cave kind of feel to it. They're weaving through all the stalagmites. They lose a TIE fighter or two.
I heard you there. That was good.
And then after they lose a couple of them, they're able to make another jump. We got another jump. This jump is to the mirror spires of Ivexia.
Oh, stop.
And this is the one that you said looks like Cloud City. The mirror spires of Ivexia, which I didn't, after watching this movie several times, until reading it, I didn't realize that there's all kinds of reflections going on.
Yeah, the mirrored spires refers to skyscrapers, dude.
Yeah, you see like a reflection of the Falcon. Like, it's moving too fast for me to process.
You see the camera
because I'm old.
You see the camera crew. That would be a nice.
You see the camera
if they put the camera crew.
Yeah, you see
like
Francis Ford Coppola being like, hey, keep going.
Why is hyperspace going into atmospheric orbit space?
We don't know that it is atmospheric, do we?
Well, it goes. It's
on a planet.
Goes very close to the surface.
Goes to a city. It's going. This is stupid. It's so broken. Star Wars. This is literally the minute Star Wars died.
It just shows you how far technology has come since Han Solo had to take a few minutes to, it's like saying, oh, I had to do my dial up, and now it's like instantaneous.
It's not. No, it's not.
because they update the software regularly as they should. Except for the gun.
So he came out of light speed into the atmosphere, and then they realized that they can do that from now. So then they upped it.
And
now he's taking it one step further.
Yeah.
And boom.
It's like Star Tours. That's what it reminded me of. Star Tours.
Yeah.
Where you're just going in a bunch of random. Oh, yeah. Oh, no, I didn't say that was good. Yeah.
When I hadn't noticed the mirrors after watching it a couple of times up until I read about it. So I guess it's, I don't know. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying it's interesting that it still worked for me. I was like, I'm flying through all kinds of exciting stuff. But then once you go back and watch through it, then it's like, oh, wow, there's all kinds of more. It's crazier than I thought.
And it's pretty crazy to start with.
It is pretty crazy. And you know what else is crazy?
What's that?
The megaphonic...
StarWars.com/merch.
Yeah, right.
That's what I was waiting for.
No, the megafauna chasm of the Typhonic Nebula. The megafauna chasm of the Typhonic Nebula. In the Typhonic Nebula, there's a chasm. In that chasm, there's megafauna. There's all kinds of giant creatures, including what looks like a regular Shai-Hulud here, a big worm going to eat the ship.
That's Dune, right?
Yeah, yeah, and it's they on their way through. They finally lose the last TIE fighter, gets eaten by the worm. Some days you eat the worm, others the worm eats you.
I do like the fact that they include a little nod to Dune, since of course Star Wars stole a lot of its initial concepts from Dune.
No, No. You don't throw Dune in there. Then you got
spice. You got desert. You got superpowers.
Because they knew this was coming out just before
Wizards.
Dune. The new Dune movie came out, so they're like,
some of that shine, some of that sweet Dune shine.
Like now, Dune shine that Uncle Jesse makes.
Hush, I knew I.
I think they were getting it. They're like, all right, now people will see Dune and they'll be like, oh, that's just the worm. That's like the megafauna chasm of the Typhonic Nebula.
Yeah,
like, and you know who else is in Dune? Poe Dameron is in Dune.
Oh yeah, Poe Dameron is in Dune.
They should have had Poe Dameron like look at the camera and somehow acknowledge like
that time that
haven't we been here before?
Like that. The A-Team was at Universal Studios and Face walked by the Cylon and was like, huh?
That was the best.
Totally.
That was the best part of the A-Team ever.
Yeah. So it should have been like that.
It should have done that. And then he should have taken his bottle of space wine and thrown it over his shoulder.
Right. And Claude would have caught it and finished it off. Or Claude would have eaten it, really.
Oh, totally, yeah. Claude.
That's funnier for a creature like Claude. But yes, the crystal chaos of Cardivate, that's alliterative. So Mirror spires of Ivexia and the megafaunic chasm of the Typhonic Nebula. These are all of our skipping points before we get back to
space.
We don't know where they're going. They're hanging on for their last jump, maybe forever.
Maybe their last. Hey, this might be my last minute of Star Wars with you guys.
Oh,
we're contractually not going to be allowed to talk to you about Star Wars ever again. And if we're, at a party, we're at a Nets game, whatever, we can't talk about Star Wars.
It's okay.
Assuming you survive.
I mean, I'm going to be murdered this season.
Right. No, you're going to be shot. We don't know. It's cliffhanger. You could be alive.
I could be alive. But someone in the Star Wars Minute universe murdered Chris Radtke. Who is it?
I am.
Or is it someone from the community?
Can I ask you one question, Pete, about the light speed skipping segment?
I thought this was going to be about Radke's shooting.
Did any of these places appear in other Star Wars media? Like, are any of these tips of the hat to, the courtship of Princess Leia or any other past
the crystal chaos of Cardivate from the courtship of Princess Leia? No, I didn't. I didn't
know previously
pick up on any of them. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But
I think they should have done the Star Trek rule of had two of them be new ones, and then the third one be one that, or maybe the one in the middle.
Star Trek is the opposite. It's two
the
familiar
third
ones.
One should have been the
cantina.
Oh, totally.
They should have been
just full circle, go right through, and you can even reuse the same shot of like the sand troopers looking up and be like, "Oh, yeah."
Oh yeah, they totally should have gone to like the cantina, and then
they could have flown over like,
and then it becomes
house.
like a opening of the Naked Gun type scene where they're like they keep going through. They're like
they go by the bounty hunters and Empire Strikes Back,
right?
And they show the bounty hunters all watching them.
Right.
Totally. Oh, man.
I like it. And even could have mixed in a Star Trek too, because J.J. Abrams and all that. So he could have flown by the Enterprise.
Yeah.
Didn't the last Thanos movie feature them kind of going through time and seeing a bunch of
time heist,
past events from? So yeah,
they could have gone through that.
Yep.
Totally.
They could have run into the Hulk and Ant-Man.
At least they didn't use time travel in Episode 9. So instead of focusing on the negative things, let's focus on the positive things, which were the negative things they didn't do.
I'm all about the positives here. I love this movie.
All right.
I'm done.
That's all I got for minute number 10.
Yeah, I think that's all I had. Now, I know, based on your feelings, it's unlikely, but is there anything in particular that you want us to look out for going forward in the rest of the movie? Is there anything that you do like that we haven't covered?
I love Adam Driver. When, like
he is in this movie.
Yeah, when they do those shots, like, again, going back to Alex's, they're really good at making these shots. And when you see Adam Driver standing there at the blue lightsaber and he's ready to be, who he is, it's great.
What about Lando showing up?
No, freak that. I don't want to see Lando ever again. Like, that was it. Like, you don't need to see Lando.
He's got a lot of nerve after what he pulled.
Yeah, and then Lando, and then it's like, maybe this other space African American woman is my daughter. Like, it feels so shoehorned in, and it feels like just it's. I hate it. I hate it. I love Lando.
What about Babu Frick? Surely you like Babu Frick.
I hate Babu Frick, and it really it's upsetting that he's going to be in Mando season whatever is coming up.
Is he?
Wow.
Yeah, he's in the commercial.
I haven't seen it.
But yeah, I get really like this movie drives me nuts. It really look out.
What about Felicity? Do you like Felicity?
Gosh, she flies a Y-wing.
God, she's in this. Oh God, again, like there's no point. She has no point in this freaking movie.
What about the Hobbit? Not Penny's boat Hobbit. He's in this too.
Oh God.
Yeah, Richard Grant.
Drive
As
Shaft.
Colonel
And
Pride.
Drive Shaft isn't like it is. You go
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, Drive Shaft.
Drive Shaft is there, and it's just
The Not Penny's boat Hobbit.
Oh God, I hate this movie so much. It's so bad. It's so bad, and it's such a. It really is. J.J. Abrams is the spoiled brat of Hollywood royalty, who has gone on.
Is he a nepo baby?
He is a hardcore nepo baby, dude.
Who's Whose are his parents?
It's not only his parents, his grandfather as well. His parents.
Who's his grandfather?
Go read his Wikipedia. His parents were Hollywood producers.
Okay.
J.J. Abrams, dude.
Yeah.
J.J. Abrams earned nothing.
He got a script.
I have no
produced when he
problem
was,
with
12
I have
or
no problem with
something.
nepo
And you know who else
babies in
earned
Hollywood.
nothing? His dumb son who wrote the Spider-Man comic a few years back. Right? People go and kill themselves.
KK Abrams.
Yeah, KK Abrams. He gets his. He's like, it was probably part of his writer with this movie because it was around the same time this movie. You know, your buddy Nick Lowe had a gun to his head, and he had to go and do a bunch of
maybe
PR.
he shot Radtke.
He had to go do a bunch of PR, being like, "Yeah, KK Abrams is really such an incredible talent. It's really bursting with life." And he did a Spider-Man story that I think is a standalone. It's where it's like Peter Parker dies, and it's just like, man, nepo babies, and I like that.
You like nepo babies?
On that
like
note,
toy
we're going
line.
to end this week of episodes. Chris, thanks for coming back, joining us to talk about this movie. I know
I love you guys. I love your fans and all your things. If you ever need me back, please let me know. I hope they make more Star Wars movies someday so we can talk about them.
There is something we might need to talk to you about. We'll have to see. But
all right, bye.
We'll see you soon, and hopefully we'll see everybody else a little bit sooner when they come back for a new episode. Hey, you might even don't even wait till Monday. I was about to say come back Monday for a new Star Wars Minute.
No!
Don't even wait. If you sign up for our Patreon, StarWarsMinute.com/Patreon, you can get an episode tomorrow. You can get an episode Sunday. And then you can get an episode on Monday. You don't have to go 24 hours without hearing our dulcet tones in your ears.
Do you still get like Alex Robinson drawings?
No,
Things?
that program was suspended.
Okay, cut this part.
No, sorry. There's bonus episodes every week, 2 different tiers, and there's all kinds of fun stuff over at StarWarsMinute.com/Patreon.
Yeah.
And
General
otherwise,
tiers.
we'll be talking about minute 11. We got more minutes of The Rise of Skywalker. That'll be coming up Monday when we do a brand new episode of Star Wars Minute.
Look out for my murder.
Star Wars murder.
We don't know if he's dead.